Hello, and welcome to Living in a Cloud podcast, which is mostly about building secure solutions on AWS. I'm Wojtek Szczepucha, and today we are diving into some exciting new announcements from AWS that could, let's say, impact your cloud security posture in a positive way and potentially save your money. So let's get started. First up, we have a game changer in AWS organizations, Resource Control Policies. Remember that name, or RCPs. Think of this as a new sheriff in a town for your AWS resources. While service control policies have been controlling what your IAM users and roles can do, to which services you have access or not, resource control policies focus on resources themselves. Imagine, let's say, being able to tell your S3 bucket, hey, you can only talk to people within your organization. That's what exactly RCP allow to do. They are available for services like S3, STS, KMS, SQS, Secrets Manager, and all long list of the services that AWS gives to you. So if you're focusing, for example, on the control tower, you can even use RCPs to set up a data perimeter for your entire landing zone. It's like building a virtual fortress around your data. Speaking of fortress, let's talk about the root of all access, literally. AWS has introduced a new way to centrally manage root access for accounts in AWS organizations. So no more juggling root credentials for multiple accounts like a circus act. You can now remove long-term root credentials, prevent credentials recovery, and even provisions secure by default accounts. Need to perform a root level action? No problem. You can now get short-term task scoped root sessions. It's like having a high security vault. That's cool. Now let's zoom out to the edge with some CloudFront news. First, we have VPC Origins. This feature allows you to deliver content from applications hosted in VPC private subnets through CloudFront. It's like having a secret tunnel from your private party to public internet. Actually, what does it mean to you? That you can have a CloudFront in front of your resources which are within the VPC and no longer provide the access for the CloudFront from the outside. You still need to have internet gateway there, but you don't have to deal with security groups and allowing access to all those resources. But wait, there is more. CloudFront now supports any cast static IP. That means you get the dedicated list of IP addresses for connecting to all your CloudFront edge locations worldwide. It's perfect when you need a wide list IPs in firewalls or simplify your network management. It costs a bit. And if it wasn't enough, CloudFront functions can now modify origins on the fly. Want to route traffic to your closest AWS region based on the viewer's location? Now you can. Without the need for Lambda at the edge. It's like having a traffic controller in the cloud, directing your content to the fastest route possible. Amazon VPC Lock Public Access. This new feature is like a master switch to your VPC's internet access. You can lock all the internet traffic, just inbound traffic, or set up granular exclusions. It's a simple way to button down the hatches and improve your cloud security posture. This podcast is not only about the security, but also we touch the topics of the cost optimization. So Aurora Serverless v2 now supports scaling to zero capacity. So your database can now take a nap when it's not busy, potentially saving you some serious cash. It's like having a database that knows when to clock out. Of course, there is a kind of cold start, which takes at something around 15 seconds. So it's not meant for the production at some point, but you can save a lot of money. Lastly, we have some updates from Application Load Balancer. You can now modify headers for better traffic control and security management. Rename TLS headers, insert custom response headers, or even disable server response headers. It's like having a bouncer who can not only check IDs, but also hand out VIP passes. That's cool. Do you remember the time that you've been billed for the 404 responses? Fortunately, this is not happening right now, but CloudFront no longer charges you for the requests blocked by AWS WAF. Another thing regarding the VPCs is that you can now have AWS Private Link. Another news was about the AWS Private Link, which now supports cross-region connectivity. Remember AWS Resource Explorer? From now, you can see security compliance metrics in it and see dependencies between different services. That's cool. And the last two announcements before the reInvent, idle recommendations in Resource Optimizer. Now you can find the idle compute like EC2, ECS, autoscaling, and so on and so forth. So take a look because it might save you money. And the last one for today is the changes to autoscaling. Now, using machine learning, it can predict how to scale automatically. That's amazing. Before we wrap up, I want to highlight that all these exciting announcements came in the weeks leading up to AWS reInvent 2024. For those who don't know, reInvent is AWS annual cloud computing conference. It's always a hotbed of new products, launches, deep technical sessions, and networking opportunities. A lot of people going there from all over the world. If you are lucky enough to be there, you're probably already overwhelmed by the flood of new information and innovations. For those of us watching from afar, keep your eyes peeled for even more announcements. Historically, AWS. For those of us watching from afar, keep your eyes peeled for even more announcements. Historically, AWS saves some of its biggest reveals for the keynotes at reInvent, and you will see 5 keynotes through all the week. Given the security and cost optimization focus of features we discussed today, I would be surprised if we see more developments in these areas during the conference. So I would expect to hear more announcements about AI, machine learning, serverless technologies, possibly surprises in the realm of quantum computing. But personally, I'm really excited to hear all of them. Remember, what happens in Vegas usually ends up changing the way we all use the cloud. So stay tuned. And we'll be back soon to break down all the major reInvent announcements. That's all for this episode. Remember, in the cloud, security is a journey, not destination. So keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep your resources safe and your bills low. Until next time, I'm Wojtek Szczepucha. Please subscribe, leave a 5-star, and comment if you didn't like it, or maybe you have some advices for myself. Thank you.